if you could give one thing of like, what's a good way to say, how do I get to know myself? Like, if there was one thing to
If there
start
was
with.
one thing, I would say tune into the conversations that you have with yourself. So all the time that if we're not speaking out loud, that means we're speaking to ourselves. As I'm talking right now, you're talking to yourself, right? What is the next question? What do I think about this or that? So we're always having conversation with ourselves, but we don't really pay attention to it. We don't tune in deeply to it. So if we can take the time to tune in to, all right, so what are the conversations I'm having? Are they negative? Are they positive? So the more aware you get of those conversations, you can start to tune in and say, I'm really negative with myself. I beat myself up a lot. And if I beat myself up internally a lot, it will find its way into my day-to-day existence, in my day-to-day life. So figuring out how to move it from that negative to positive is critically important.
Right.
And a way to do that is to, as you listen, I think of the mind as a huge echo chamber filled with whatever it is that we don't know, negative or positive. But if we start to understand it as, oh, that's negative, we can catch some of it. So if I catch myself, say, for instance, I want to lose weight. And obviously it hasn't worked for me. I got a long ways to go. So that's a whole nother thing. But say I want to lose weight and I tune into the conversations I'm having with myself and they're negative. I'm saying things like, man, you ate that. You ain't going to lose the weight. You know you've been trying to lose this weight. It's never worked. All those negative things. If I become aware of them, what I can do is almost catch them. And as I catch them, I can turn them inside out and say, does this serve me well? Right. If the answer is no, what I can then do is get rid of that thought and replace it with something positive. Yep, I didn't eat the best yesterday, but I got today.
Right.
So I can change with this next meal. I'm gonna do better on this next meal, as opposed to be trying to think about how much I can lose over the next 2 years. Stay in this moment. Right. What can I do in this current moment? And that's what I'm asking people to do more.
I love living in the moment. And why do you say it's important to live in the moment and not think about yesterday or tomorrow?
Yeah, I think one of the things we have is a tendency to ruminate about the past, which pushes us closer to depression, or ruminate about the future, which pushes us closer to anxiety. So if we can stay in the current moment, we are avoiding all of this. The only true thing we have in life, if we're being real, Jennifer, the only thing we truly have in life is the current moment that we reside in.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So if we see that as being true, then avoiding that future rumination, avoiding that past rumination, staying in the moment. And one trick that I've found that people utilize and I use to stay in the current moment is to focus on your breathing. If you simply say, for the next few minutes, I'm just really gonna focus on how I'm breathing. Okay. Am I breathing deep? Is it shallow? It forces you into this moment. It won't allow you to be thinking about the past or the future. And now all of a sudden I'm in this moment realizing my feet are planted on this stage at this current moment. I'll worry about other things as they come. I think that's an important thing. It's quite simple, but we don't do a great job of it as human beings.
Wow. Okay, I love this. So you are challenging people to start their day with a song, because I live by that. I want to hear what you got to say about it.
So the song that I love and I listen to every single morning is Bill Withers' Lovely Day. Right?
Yes.
Every day. So I wake up, first thing I do is I go to the mirror and I smile at myself. So I'm not gonna wait for someone else to smile at me.
Right.
I'm gonna smile at me.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
If you choose to smile at me, that's cool. But I've already smiled.
I'm taking that.
Yes, I've already smiled at me and I'm good with me.
Yes.
I'm cool with where I am.
Okay, so obviously we all know the holidays can be financially stressful. What advice do you have for everyone during the holidays?
Well, first, Jennifer, I suggest really shopping online. Because one, you won't be as distracted when you walk up and down the aisles, and you can start by making a list. So we know that song, right? Right? He's making a list, he's checking it twice, he's gonna find out who's naughty. You
better say
right? So you gotta make a list of everyone that you're going to buy something for, and then you can start to pre-shop online to say, what am I gonna get for each of these people? How much do I think it's gonna cost me? You create your budget, and then because you're shopping online, you can also have access to these online coupons. So it helps you to save by making that list and shopping online.
Okay. And then what about when you have a lot of people to shop for?
So if you have a lot of people to shop for, one of the things that I suggest is I want people to make sure that shopping is like a group activity, meaning that you don't have to buy a gift for a single person by yourself. So I've got 4 sisters, there's 5 of us. So for my parents, we collectively buy them a gift together. And you can do that to save money. But you can also do something as a collective gift for a family. So let's just say there's a family of 4. You don't have to buy each individual person a gift. You might buy the family like a game collection, or you might buy them cooking lessons. So it's one gift for an entire family. So I say do group gifts.
Group gifts.
Group gifts.
All right. What other tips you got for us?
You definitely want to check your rewards card. If you have a credit, who has a credit card? Right? If you have a credit card, see if they offer rewards and cash them in. So my favorite type of credit card is a cashback reward card. Every year, I take a look. I had a couple $100s on my cashback reward card. I use that money to either buy gifts or continue to save. And last but not least, plan for next year. So the best time to purchase things on sale is right after the holiday season. Everything's on sale.
That's smart.
Right? Christmas trees are on sale. Decorations are on sale. Even gifts are on sale. So that way you can spend less the next year if you start to stockpile right now.
How do you define love?
So I feel like love is one of these interesting words to define because everyone has their own definition, and I think you should define it. It's not just a feeling or an emotion. My definition is that it's when you know someone's personality. Do you know what they're like when they get tired? Do you know what they're like when they get irritated? Do you know what they're like when they're having a bad day? If you know that, that's one step. The second is, do you respect their values? Most of the time in relationships, we want our partner to value what we value. We want them to like what we like. But actually, relationships are about respecting their values. And the third one is, are you committed to help them achieve their goals? Do you want to see them rise to their potential? Do you want to support them? And do you want to help them become the best version of themselves? Those are the 3 parts of my definition of love.
Y'all got that? I was listening very closely. Okay. We got some good stuff. So we put a lot of importance on romantic love. Should we do that?
So I think that we've put romantic love on a pedestal, and I think we've forgotten to realize that there's so many other beautiful relationships. The relationship you have with your mother, the relationship you have with your children, the relationship you have with your brother, your best friend, your sibling, whatever it may be. And I feel like if I ask someone to compare the love they have for their child to the love they have for their partner, you'd say that's ridiculous. It's just different. But I know so many people who have beautiful relationship with their kids, but because society makes them feel inadequate because they don't have a partner in their life. And so I actually think we need to celebrate all these other forms of love. And in the tradition that I studied as a monk, it talks about how the closest thing to pure love is a mother's love for their child. And so I think we need to celebrate that more, put more spotlight on that.
What do you think, like, about red flags when you meet someone?
There's quite a few red flags. One of the first ones is when someone says, I love you too soon. So studies show that women say it after about 3 months, men say it about in a month, like within a month. And so hearing the words, I love you, that early on, it's like this person doesn't even know you, let alone love you. And so I think that's a red flag. The other 2 that came out in some of my research was the halo effect. So the halo effect is when you like one thing about someone, but you assume that means they have lots of other good qualities. So if someone went to a good school, you think they must be organized.
Right.
Or you think, well, if someone has a good job, then they must be a good person, right? So we start giving people these qualities. And the third and final one that's really interesting is called the context effect. What that means is, let's say you just walked out of a romantic comedy at the theaters. You're more likely to believe, research shows, that someone you bump into is gonna be a likely partner. Or if you bump into someone at a wedding, you think that's the person you're meant to be with because you just were surrounded by love. It even goes to the point of if you have a warm drink together, like a coffee, you're more likely to have warmer feelings towards the person you're sitting with. So you gotta be really careful. Have a cold drink, then you know if you really have feelings with this person.
How many people feel like they're living their best life? Okay, See? And that's not
I do.
everybody, so you guys keep me working, okay? So the first thing is to know who you are. I just spoke about that, okay? Now, what I mean by that, it's like, what are your core values? What makes you tick? What makes you happy? I know that there's a lot of parents, a lot of caregivers, a lot of entrepreneurs like myself, just life. You're busy, you're consumed. So taking the time to know who you are, to know what you like and don't like. The foundation of all relationships starts with you. So if you don't know who you are, if you don't know what you like, oftentimes we look to other people and to external sources. That's not the way to go, because that only makes you more confused. So I just always start with that. What makes you tick? And so that's one. Okay, you ready for number two?
Number two.
Okay, I just talked about caretakers, and I know a lot of them, and I have a lot of them as clients, mothers, parents, even in some cases, family members who care for other family members. When you sometimes we get filled up, we get consumed, and you don't know that you're burnt out until you're burnt out. Like, you might kind of say, okay, things are kind of mundane, or maybe, life is just not giving me that spark that I need. So my tip, I love acronyms, APP, assess, prioritize, and plan, okay? Now, it's not rocket science. I didn't make this up. I did come up with the three, with the three letters. So assessing, when you think about every hat that you wear, right? You write down, if I'm a parent, this is it. If this is my work, as a family member, write everything down, all of the things that you have to do. Prioritize, okay, what is a right now goal? What is a right now need? What needs to be done right now? Because sometimes when the cup gets filled, it just starts overflowing. You don't have room for anything else. So prioritizing those things, I like to color code. I say, hey, clients, let's do what's number 1, 2, 3, and then planning. Planning your work, working your plan. So it's like handle all of those things in priority order. And even though it might feel kind of like mundane to write it out, you'll start noticing that burden lifting.
Yes.
So that's what I love to do. Number 3, you ready?
We're number 3.
Okay, because I can do this all day long.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna contain myself.
You to.
Number 3, setting healthy boundaries. Okay? Setting healthy boundaries.
Yes.
But guess what? There's a lot of terms that we use, like self-love and healthy boundaries, but very rarely do people kind of get underneath that. And I honestly lead with self-boundaries, healthy boundaries. Your yeses are your yes. Your nos are no. People will treat you how you treat yourself. And so often, I'll just use New Year's resolutions as a goal. Sometimes clients will say, oh, I want to start working out. Or I want to, stay home more often. But then the minute that, life pulls or something pulls, then you dishonor yourself. The minute that you say, you don't keep your word. So if you have to keep your word to yourself. So tip number 4, cultivating healthy friendships and healthy relationships. Now notice I use the word cultivate on purpose, and I'll tell you why. So often people, and how you have like your childhood friends or your friends from back in the day, or even a family member, you kind of can take for granted, like, oh, they're in my front row. I like to use a theater as an analogy. They're in my front row. So you just kind of like, you don't have to put in the same work, but that's not true. So I deal with a lot of clients sometimes that struggle in singleness, and I'm like, you know what? Relationships are classrooms. So you don't just all of a sudden fall in love and learn how to communicate. You don't all of a sudden fall in love and know how to ask for what you want. So guess what? Our friendships provide us that opportunity to speak up. Or guess what? To confront, to challenge something. If you see someone you love and you have some truth to tell, speak it in love, but you gotta speak it.
You gotta speak it.
You just don't.
Because that's healthy love.
It's healthy love.
And a healthy relationship.
And we all know, and I'm not gonna mention no names on this beautiful, happy place, but we all know what it's like when people don't have truth tellers around them. You can just tell,
I'd rather you tell me the truth.
Period. Hello?
Okay.
Let me know. Keep it together. So yes, cultivating those relations, and honestly, it builds confidence as well. So, the more that you, own, what you're feeling and be able to communicate, then you feel more confident when you make your own choices. So that has been something that's been a real staple. And then, are you ready for the last tip?
Yes, we are ready.
Okay, I'm sorry, I can't do much without a snap. That's just the sister and the girl. So number 5 would be make intentional time for YOU. Make intentional time for you. Intentional, okay? I'm very careful with my words. Words have power, so intentionality is everything, and I'm gonna say why as well. The number one thing that people don't realize, we get on the airplane sometimes and they'll say, put the oxygen mask on yourself before you. That's it. That's the fundamental rule. So when your cup is empty, how can you pour out of it? When you are
busy and caught into even, the most successful people to those that are kind of like trying to find their purpose. At the end of the day, if you don't say in a week's time, now I like to say, set a daily time for yourself. But if you don't do that, then you can't honor anyone else. You can't give from the whole place of yourself if you're just giving yourself the scraps. So just setting a date with yourself. If it's 5 minutes in the morning, okay? Just with you, let it be done.
What's the best way to find a partner today?
So here's the thing you have to realize. Now with dating, you have social media, you have text message etiquette. And before the pandemic, dating was already challenging, right? And then you had the pandemic hit. And one thing about singles, we are the most adaptable people on the planet, okay? We're going to adapt. So we learned how to adapt during the pandemic. So right now we're in what I call dating purgatory. Dating is not what it used to be. We're in this new abnormal and learning how to make things work. So the key, first of all, is, ladies, you're not gonna meet the man going to the spa with your girls, okay?
You're not gonna meet the man going to the spa with your
You're
girl.
not.
Y'all got that note?
You gotta get that.
Okay, we taking notes.
You
Keep
gotta
on going.
go where the men are. Men are gonna be at the golf course. Men are gonna be at cigar bars. Men are gonna be at sporting lounges. Exercise-related things, men are going to be there. You got to get out the house. You have to get out the house. It doesn't need to be with a big group of girls. Go out by yourself sometimes. You're more approachable. Make it a very small group of girls so that it's approachable for someone to come up to you without feeling, overwhelmed. So get out the house.
Okay, get out the house.
Get out the house.
Get out the house. I'm taking notes.
Yes.
Okay, so we have some scenarios and we want your take as we play a game called Red Flag. Y'all see my
Ooh.
flags? Or green flag.
I love those. I love
I really want to learn.
those. Yes.
This is important, y'all. Okay, so the audience and I will say if we think it's a red flag. Here we go with the red flag
Okay.
or a green flag, and Monique will tell us what she thinks, which
Okay.
I really want to know. Okay, so scenario number 1.
Okay.
You and your partner never argue. Is that a red flag or a green flag? So I'll go first. That's a red flag.
I love your audience.
They
They're gonna help me
smart.
write my next blog post. Red flag.
flag.
Red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag. Okay?
Please teach us.
Let me tell you something. If you are in a relationship and you are not arguing, one person in that relationship is not fully happy. They're what I call prototype dating. What prototype dating is you're trying not to rock the boat. You want to be the prototype of what you think this person wants. You don't want to come off as a nag, so you ignore some things that make you feel uncomfortable. You might not say something that's upsetting you or bothering you because you don't want to upset that person. And ultimately, you are not being yourself. Arguing is very healthy in a relationship. You learn so much about yourself, but it's about how do you argue? How is your communication? Are you passive aggressive and you stop talking to someone? Are you kirking out and acting a fool? Or are you able to sit with this person, tell them how you're feeling, they respect it, and you have healthy conversations? So arguing is important, and if you're not arguing, it's a red flag.
Y'all got that?
Yep.
Okay. We listening, honey. Because it's serious out there. You see my face? You see that expression?
Okay.
That means Jennifer listening, okay? All right, scenario number 2. Your partner talks about their feelings way too much. Is that a red flag or a green flag? Red. What y'all say? Red? We going with red again? She said 50-50. What you think?
So here's how I feel. I feel like it is a green flag, okay?
Okay.
Because in a relationship...
Okay, so this is a good thing.
I love the green flaggers. Okay, because in a relationship, the most important thing is that you feel safe, okay? So it's important to feel like you can have those conversations. Yes, some people are HSP, highly sensitive people. Some people are more emotional. Okay, fine, that's okay. It's about how you say it, not what you say. If you say it in a respectful manner. And also not just with love relationships, but we need to be in a space, even as a society, where you are comfortable expressing your emotions. So it's a green flag.
If you like this video, smash that like button and subscribe to the Jennifer Hudson Show YouTube channel. Check your local listings or visit jenniferhudsonshow.com to see when you can watch full episodes in your area. And don't forget to sign up for the newsletter.